Hi everybody, this is Clarine from In Rainy's Room, and today we're going to make a triple easel card. This one I made as a get well type card, and this is the front. These are the little get well bugs, and they kind of fold up when you fold your card. Here's the back. And I have all these little ephemera cut out beforehand, so we'll be putting those on. And then this is the underside where you can put your sentiment. All right, so let's put that off to the side for a minute, and let's get started. I'll kind of give you the measurements as we go along to make sure you get everything in the right place. We're going to start with a base color for your card, and this one is 5.5 by 8, and we're going to score with the short side at the top. We're going to score at 2 3/4, which is actually just cutting this in half, and that's going to fold like that. And then on the long side, we're going to be scoring at 2 3/4 again. But you're only going to go down to that horizontal line. So that's 2 3/4 there. Now I'm using a very heavy paper. This is that craft paper, so it takes a little bit of scoring, a little power behind that. And then you're going to also score at 5 1/4 over here. Again, just down to that horizontal line. Right like that. Then we're going to be cutting on that score line, just to the horizontal line, like that. And again over here. And then we're going to do one more score line, and that's for this middle section. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hold these two back. I'm going to line that up over here on the side, and I'm going to put a score mark at 1 3/8, and that will be right here. Oops. And then we'll just fold that and burnish it. What we've got is our base card right here. These are going to be folding up where we have the little bugs standing up, and this is the middle section that will be holding that big sign that says "Sorry You're Sick," and we'll be adding some papers on top of those. So for right now, we're going to do the base, and I selected just a simple white. So you're going to cut two that are 7 3/4 by 2 1/2, and we're going to tape them down, one on the top and one on the bottom. And they'll just be centered in there. Because this card is so long, I'm using runner tape. And just hold it in place. And even though you're using runner tape, you still have to remember about these corners. So use a little bit of glue to make sure that your little corner tips stay down. Nothing worse than having edges coming up. So put that there. And I'm just going to center that on the bottom piece here. And make sure you got it where you want it. And lay it down. Burnish that tape. Get those corners down, and then we'll just flip it over And do the same thing on the underside. And this is just standard size cardstock, which is 65 pounds. And don't forget about these little corners. Let me just center that. Make sure it's in there. Looks good. Okay. Burnish that down. I'm going to turn it back over. And this is going to, this is going to be our top. So we're going to be putting a base on there. So you're going to cut one for the base out of patterned paper, and that's going to be 7.5 inches by 2 1/4. And because of the whiteness that's on that edge, I like to color that. You can either use distress ink. I like these little Cali markers just to get rid of that white. I think it kind of adds a lot to your colors. I'll put that there. And then we're going to tape that down. And I'll put a little glue on the corners just to make sure they stay down. Center that on the base. There we go. Perfect. Okay. I'm going to burnish that tape. This is a different pattern paper because I like the little polka dots. I thought it was kind of funky with the little bugs, but I didn't have any more of that. Sometimes you play in the stash and find a lot of good stuff, but then you don't have enough to do another project. Anyway, so that is going to be our base. Now we're going to do a little bit of more scoring. We're going to score from this left corner down to the right, and then on this side we're going to score from the right corner down here to the left. Let me do that. I have a black marker that I always keep this in the middle of my scoreboard so that I can do things like this. I'm going to line up that corner with my tool and then pivot that around so that the tip is on that black line. And then I just go up. Hold the card down real steady if you use, especially if you're using craft paper. Okay. And I'm going to do that over here, same thing. I'll line up my line, kind of pivot that a little bit so it's going point to point. There we go. So I'll put the valley side down and fold back those scored lines, burnish them. Same thing over here. Now you don't have to worry about cracking so much with this craft paper because it's so dang heavy. But that's the reasoning behind turning it down with the valley side down, just to kind of reduce the chance of getting cracks. And then this is going to be the piece that comes up like that. See how it's starting to take a little bit of shape? So now we're going to be putting on our little backgrounds. So we'll start with the base color, and you're going to cut two from whatever, I'm using white, but whatever you use as your background, you're going to cut two that are 2.5 by 2.5. And then just cut that diagonally in your cutter. And those are going to be going right here. Like that. One on each side. And then the little matching patterned paper, you're going to cut one that is 2.25 by 2.25, and you'll cut those diagonally, just right tip to tip. And don't forget, if you're burnishing your edges, to be sure and do that with those. You can also use Distress ink. I started using these pens, and I just like the cleaner look that it gives, but it all depends on what you like, what your supplies are also. I just like these little markers. And just leave that like there. So I'm going to use glue to position these, and I'm just going to glue the smaller, put glue on the smaller piece first. And we'll just center it. And I'll do the other one as well. I don't remember who I saw first that made this Triple Easel Card. I think it was Sam Calcott. I made them so long ago, I couldn't find the site again, but I'm pretty sure that's who it was. And since I couldn't find the site, I figured maybe I should make one, so that in case I want to make another one. And then the other little piece that we're going to be putting are the cover ones on here. So to do that, you're going to do a white piece. It's going to go right here. You're going to do a white piece that's 2 3/8 by 1 1/4, and then a patterned piece that is 2 1/4 by 1 1/8. So let me get that colored. And I'll glue that in place. Always putting your glue on the smaller piece. Make sure you get those corners. And that's going to go right here. Okay, so this piece is going to get brought forward, and I'm going to glue it onto there. Kind of pay attention to which side is facing which way. So you get everybody lined up on the right side. And I'll just pull that down a little bit, center it. Burnish that down. And then this one I'm going to bring forward. And he's going to get glued right down here. Oops, turn him around. And this is your centerpiece. And we're going to be putting a big "Sorry You're Sick" right here. So let me go ahead and glue this down onto the backing. And I used just a regular scallop die to make this little "Sorry You're Sick" sign. I'll put that over here, burnish it down. And then this one goes on the lower half of that centerpiece. So I'll put some glue on here. And that just goes right in the center there. You don't see the whole thing, but it's important to have it down there. So see how it's starting to take shape? There's your base, and you're going to have your little bugs standing up there. Lots of fun. Okay, let's go ahead and do the big bugs first. Now, I got these about 4 years ago. I believe it was during the pandemic, so there were bugs and germs and all kinds of ephemera around. I think I got it on just the internet that just said, you know, bugs, sick bugs or something. I don't know. It's been 4 years or so. So anyway, that's where I got those. So I brought them into Photoshop, reversed them, made them the size that I wanted, and reversed them so that I could have them backing each other, because when they're on here, you can see a little bit of the back. And I wanted to not just have a white spot back there. So that one's going to go there. This one, I went ahead and glued them back to back before I started, just to save a little time. Those are going to go there. This is going to go in the center. And there's a little guy up at the top. Here's some of our other characters that we're going to be using. I picked a yellow one. So this one is going to go on the top up here. But I'm going to wait until I mount it on there before I put him on. But he's on standby right here. And then we need to have, here's some of the other little bugs. And we got a couple germ signs here. So let's go ahead and get out our pop-ups. Instead of pop-ups, I just love using 3M tape. I think it's a little bit thicker than pop-ups, and I can get any size that I want. I can make big strips, I can make little tiny strips. So I really like to use these. So what I'm going to do is cut about, it's about 1/2 inch, maybe a little less than 1/2 inch. I'm going to make some squares, and I'm going to need 6 of them to hold these 3 little bugs down that are going to keep your sides in the easel shape. Let me put that guy back there. So I'm going to stack on there. So here's 1 stack, and then there's 2, because it just gives it a little more depth to make sure that they stay. So I'm going to hold this in place. I don't want them to lay down. I want them to be standing up. So make sure that you hold this little section up so that when you do put them on here, let me stick one on his back. He's going to go right here, and his feet are just up off of the base. Don't want to drag the feet. And then that's just a single pop-up holding him in place. And then I'm going to take another character, and that's this guy, and he's going to be the base that's going to hold that up. So he's going to go there. I'll put a pop-up on his back, and then a second one, just to give it some more depth. So I'll hold him in place where I want him. This guy I'm just going to put down here, being careful that you keep him inside your base, don't have him hanging over the edge. And that's going to go right here. And I'll just stick him down so that base will get caught there. Then we're going to do the same thing over here. Let me put a piece on him. And he's going to go right there. And I've got his feet just up off of the pattern paper, right like that. And then I think we'll put a little, let's put a blue guy. No, it's the same color. Let's do a turquoise guy. I'll put a double pop-ups on him. And hold this corner in place. And then he'll lay right like that, and see how the sides of his hands are going to get caught like that, and that'll help hold him up. Okay, now this centerpiece is going to get attached. Don't put anything up high. You want to just glue it down low, because that's going to get attached right here with the scallop just clearing right on the edge of the colored part, the pattern paper. So I'll just do a little bit here. And I'll put that right like that. Just kind of centering it. Keep it in place. Let me see what that looks like on this side. Yeah, I think I can probably put the glue up a little bit higher. So I'm just going to put a little more here, just for stability. I don't want it to be wobbly. And while that's drying, let's kind of go ahead and do the back side. And back here, and don't forget the bottom. We got to get the bottom. Let's do that first. So this is going to be going that way. So here's our back. So this guy is going to be peeking out over on the right side. And so I'm going to put him right like this. And I want to make sure that this edge is lined up with the white base. So I'm going to cut off part of his fingers so that he's not extending over the colored part. I'm just gluing this on. So I'll put some glue on here. And put him right in here. There we go. And then I'll just snip off his fingers. You know, I don't know if I'm going to snip off his fingers or not. Yeah, I think I will, because it's only white on that back side. I know that the envelope this slides in is very generous size-wise, so I know his fingers would fit, but it would just look better if you didn't have the back side showing when you're looking at the other side. So we'll just trim him off. Okay, so now we'll lay these down. And we'll put up the other signs. Put some glue here. This is going to go on the back side. Try like that. Just kind of center it in there. I didn't do a backing on that. I just let my scan and cut out a 1/4 inch around it. So it does have an outline, but it's not layered. And here's another virus over here. I'll put that on this side. That one will go there. And I don't like his little antenna sticking up there, so I'm going to cut that off too. It just looks sloppy. Boom, get rid of it. Okay, so that's the bottom, and the sentiment. And then on the back of this, we can put one of these little signs. It says germs, kind of a warning. I just love the theme for this thing. I just had so much fun with these little guys. And I'll just put that across there. Okay. All right, so let's get back to the front here. And I want to put that other one up. So I want him to go up here. Got it, right? One. Okay, that one I can't use because he's not reversed. Don't know where the other reverse side is. Got too many bugs running around here. Oops. There he is. Okay. So these two are reversed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue just the top part together because I want this to come around and have him holding on here like that. So I'm going to glue the top part. Together with this one. Match him up. So this bottom part that has no glue on it is where it's going to adhere to the big sign. I think, there we go. Right. Tricky little guys. So this is going to stay up. So now I got to put a little bit of glue on the bottom side, making sure that it doesn't touch yet. Because I want it to glue down here. So he'll be like that. There we go. Whoops. You know what I did? I think I had him, I like it the other way when it's more like that. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm sorry, mash that down the rest of the way, change my mind, because I like the way his little arms stick over the edge like that. And then it looks good in the back too. So I'm going to just glue his legs and the bottom part of his little speckled tummy there. And that's going to go like that. And then it also doesn't get in the way of the sentiment. So, okay, I like that better. All right, well, that looks good. This guy's gonna go there. Now I also have to put one in the middle to hold that middle section in. So let me get one more bug, and I think I'll go ahead and put a red one in there. I'll cut a couple more pieces of my tape. If you just use regular pop-ups, I would suggest that you actually layer 3 of those because they're just not quite as thick as this tape is. And they need to have something to grab onto. Oopsie. Got him a little crooked. Let me straighten him out. There we go. Okay. So this one you want it to stand up, not leaning. So I'll put him there, and then I'll lay this right across there to catch that edge. Right like that. And kind of play with the folds here, make sure everybody's creasing. Have this one go here. And there you have it. This one's being ornery. We bend him up just a little. Sometimes you got to play with them. This one probably should have been back a little ways. I don't know that I can move him. Get a good fold here. Always got to be something ornery. Okay. There we go. That's that one just won't cooperate. I'm going to have to peel that off and move him back a little bit. So let me fix that real quick because you might run into the same thing. I'll put on a fresh piece of tape. To move him back a little bit. I had him too far forward. He just wasn't catching. So I'll put that there. And I'm going to kind of pivot him so I can cover up that spot. There we go. And then he'll pick it up. No, he won't. Oh my gosh. Well, I hope this doesn't happen to you, but I know if I play with it long enough, I'll get it to stay there. Okay, and there you have it. The Triple Easel Card. Okay, thanks for coming. Take care.